Nike Texas. Here we go. Tonight. Ready?
All right, all right. We got like four, three or four. Um, give it some time a little bit. All right, all right. Seem like five, so we're cool. I'm cool to just keep going from here. Um, all right. First things first. Congrats to everybody that's still balling, still playing, still in the dance, doing their due diligence. In the AFC Championship, we got the three rank Chiefs, four rank. I mean Chiefs. Ha, psych. Three ranked Steelers, four ranked Chiefs. Four ranked Chiefs, four ranked Dolphins. We got the first seed Niners over here in the NFC side with 1 and 2, which is kind of to be expected with the way their seasons went, honestly. Um, but we'll dig in. Last show we did, we talked about the first card. First round, where some niggas are left and they should still be left. um, then we got second round. We'll dig into. I think I'll go by order. First game that was played was me and Squeeze. Um, Final was 31-28. Steelers won in the rushing game. Uh, Steelers won in the passing game, 267, 265. Texans had more first downs, and we were even on turnovers, 2-2. Um, Stroud, 299 for 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3 sacks. Kind of contributes some to the game. Then we got Justin Fields, 267, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, no sacks, 9 for 15. I think overall, it was just really, if everybody watched or whoever watched, really just a strong first half by the Steelers. Most of the people on the show said that was kind of what they needed to, win the game. Um, Most people called it a close game, knew it was going to be a close game. I think, Squeeze did a good job of coming out and playing his football. He scored big, scored early, scored fast, and sometimes. And I started off pretty sloppy. 2 picks back to back in the early, uh, literally in the first quarter, 2 picks back to back, put up 0 points in the first quarter. Led to really the rest of the game just being a comeback game. Took the run game out because of that. There was really only like 1 or 2 drives I could run on after that kind of would have made sense. Everything after that was just really just had to move the ball down the field. So shout out to Squeeze for holding on to the lead that he started with. It was 28-7 when we started mounting the comeback, and he only scored 3 in the second half. Whether that was, I know he threw a pick in the second half, and I think he started just playing a little bit like conservative. His play calling wasn't crazy, but he did enough to move the chains and keep shit going. Uh, Kind of like I said, 10 for 41. He ran at the end, kind of to close the game up. This was my run attempts really at the beginning, or if he showed me any 3 down linemen. So it was just like Joe Mixon really couldn't be a part of the game. Him being one of the better players on my roster, that was a big part. Um, and then he did the best that he could to just make sure his guys was involved. Uh, Really, Randy Moss obviously came out with his 2 bombs early. Everything after that really is just conservative football out of him, which I think is just, it's what you do. You out, you get the win in the playoffs. He wasn't asked to do anything crazy or do anything crazy, so he didn't have to. Um, the key of the game for real, minus my turnovers, is just his overall defense. Uh, we ran the ball 7 times, 2 with Stroud. So 2 tackles for loss, 4, 6, 8. I'm counting 8 tackles for loss, and we only ran the ball 10 times. So y'all can do the math there on that. Steelers defense to the front 7 just did what they had to do, basically, to make it a one-sided game. Um, so shout out to the Steelers. They were able to push on. The next game that came through was playing same time, but next game per se. Um, I mean, I don't think our game was as good because he came out jumping the first half. So it was really just keep away at that point. Like I think a better showcase would have went on if I don't throw a pick six and I come and respond with a touchdown. Then I think we would have went back and forth. And I think that's where some of the shootout aspects of it were coming in from people. Is like we had the ability to go back and forth with each other, but I gave him the game damn near in the first quarter for real. Like 14-0 or 13-0 because you missed the extra point in the first quarter versus most users. If you're a top user, that should be a GG's for you. So I I think it just ruined a little bit. But next game we got the Giants. Next game we got the Giants and the Falcons, which kicked off at like the same time. I didn't really catch much of the game because, like I said, we were playing at the same time. The end of what I caught was really just Falcons, the Giants closing the game. We had 28 rush yards from the Falcons for 148 for the Giants, which fits their run scheme. 165 passing yards for the Falcons and 114 for the Giants. Expect a little bit more out the passing yards out of the Falcons. No turnovers for either team, though, so good football was played. It just came down to time of possession. Nas doubled his time of possession on the Falcons, so definitely playing run the ball and play defense type of football, which could or could not hurt him in the next round that we'll talk about a little bit later. Penix came out 189, one touchdown, no picks, two sacks, 10 for 17. Terrell Pryor 114, one touchdown, no sacks, 11 for 17. Now, rushing yards, this is where the discrepancy obviously was going to be. Tyrone Tracy with 23 rushing yards for 122. 23 rushing attempts for 122, one touchdown. Bijan with only 5 rushing attempts for 28 yards and a touchdown. Terrell Pryor with 2 rushing attempts, maybe read options, quarterback power, scrambles, for 1 touchdown, and Hyatt on some jet sweeps. I think this is just really where the game is. There's really no more or less to go with the game with no turnovers on the board than this right here. It was just run the ball and play smart offense, keep the clock moving, play defense. He never really, I don't know, I got to go look at the punts to see if he stopped them from, like, nobody punted. So it's not like he actually got a stop. It looks like authentically, no turnovers, no punt. So it was just a matter of like how many times can you score versus how many times can I score with the time that's allowed to you. And Nas just played that type of playoff game where he didn't give him a whole lot of time to stay in the game, if you know what I'm saying. He won by a touchdown. I'm willing to bet Nas had the ball last in that scenario, and he just kept the ball and played keep away. Can go back and see if there was some fourth down attempts. There's 1 fourth down conversion by the Falcons and 1 third down conversion, 50% in the red zone. So maybe I'm guessing he went for fourth down in the red zone and didn't get it. Oh, he did early, first quarter. Yeah, actually, I remember. I saw that first or second quarter, some shit like that. But yeah, so Giants move on. I think that was a good game, but I question why the conversion. I have to go back and see the game and go look at it for real and go see what happened on the conversion and why we went for it there. But the next game that was played, it's 35-9 from the Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. Now, Chargers came off of the bye. They were rested, maybe too rested. In a sense, maybe took too long to get kind of flowing. If he's on here, anybody else that was on here watching the game maybe can speak. But the biggest thing I'm really going to go to is really 5 turnovers to 0 turnovers. There's no way in hell you win any playoff game against somebody that's actually anywhat of decent with 5 turnovers to 0 and expect any type of like good ball game for real. So I really just think that's where it all lies for the Chargers. They just came out and turned over the ball way too much. Shout out to the Dolphins defense. Reggie McNeil played good though. 206, 3 touchdowns, no sacks, 75% completion. Justin Herbert, on the other hand, who the coach has been looking for some wide receiver ones, been talking about it, possibly a Diggs trade, possibly a Scary Terry going over here. They've mentioned their hat up on Joe Mixon and some other pieces. So I think the notion is here that Herbert needs some extra help with the weapons because his protection has never really been as. But we'll go look. J.K. Dobbins, 8 for 36, 4.5. That wasn't bad. It just depends on how the game started. He probably got some picks, got the score turned over on them, so couldn't really run the ball as much. A-Chain comes out 14 for 100, 2 touchdowns. Really efficient offense by Ray. Not too much running. Averaging 7.1 yards a carry. So, 2 carries is getting you first downs. Also, why he's averaging 7 yards while throwing the ball. So, he was kind of very, very balanced legitimately here. Go to the defense or blocking, just see if Herbert gave up. He gave up 2 sacks. Okay. Derwin played well. Sack from Phillips, half a sacks here. See who caught the picks. Jordan Brooks, 2 at the linebacker level, 2 at the slot corner with Cahoe. So that was against Ladd or maybe against Ladd, depending on where Ladd was at. And then Kyle Hamilton in the sky, who's been the best player basically for the Dolphins on defense since he's been acquired. And I mean, this was blowout fashion. I didn't watch any of the game. I was fucking asleep. But this is not how you really want to go out as a one seed. Um, I think maybe Ruski just sat too long. Maybe he didn't get a game in beforehand. I know how it is to be like the one seed and kind of just sitting there and like kind of lose your rhythm, lose your flow, especially when the league is moving as fast as we normally go. You're used to a game a day, at least in this league. So you go 2 or 3 days where you don't have a game, shit just feels out of rhythm. And you're going against somebody that was hungry, that's been hungry all season. So shout out to Ray. Shout out to the Chargers for still being the one seed. Hopefully Ruski comes back and do what he got to do to be in a situation to be in the offs again next season. Um, then we'll go over to final game that was played. The Niners and the one seed versus the Lions, and I don't know what seed they were. The 4 seed. Okay. 1 versus 4 over here too. Um, Closer matchup. It started off close. Detroit got stopped down in the red zone at the with the first quarter. He got stopped in the red zone at the 3 yard line. Questionable on if he should have took the points there. Next drive, he proceeds to get a stop and scores. But I just think when you talk about momentum and rhythm and things like that, it was just questionable there, but he ended up getting the ball back. And then the Niners, they just started off hot. They stuck to Christian McCaffrey, stayed to their wit, stayed to their game plan. They did have this matchup with the Lions earlier this season, and I knew that that was going to play a component in just the way that Craig prepares for the game. Anytime you got top users or top people that play, and they've played, once, twice, 3 times in that same season, I think there's a certain level of switch up that has to take place when y'all line up again. Week 17, so it's very fresh. And I say that just because there was red zone plays, or like one red zone play in particular. I've watched Brad scoring it many of times. Actually, it's a very good play, but Craig was just all over it, and it just you could tell there were certain plays Craig was over, and it made Brad's have to check to the next read. And if you're not comfortable or always used to always having to go to that third and fourth read, you throw some errant throws, or you miss reads, or you take sacks. And I just think that kind of comes down to the next level for Brad. He's a very good user, has been a good user the last couple of disc seasons, I would say, since that second season of the Cards, we kind of, or I at least recognized that he could play and was capable of playing. I just think he's got to go next level. I told him the same thing when we played in the regular season. Hey, Amron's eating. Amron's a dog. But next level, like bring up Laporta. When you can start getting Laporta and JMO, and you could see some of it in the game, it's just, you just got to put it all together. And I think that's just going to be the next thing for Brad, is putting it all together, having plays to bounce off of, like, hey, this is Laporta's play normally, but now when Laporta's not open, I got Amron, or this is Amran's play normally, but, now I got Laporta. I just think that's going to be the 1-2. And that's where I think the Lions are going to be at. He doesn't need to trade anything. He doesn't need to do anything with his team for real, except run it back and just learn from his mistakes and get better. And that defense, which everyone knows that as a Lions, is just the defense, and you got an offense that's set. So there was a little breakdown of the game. I think after that, it was just kind of a little bit of a frustration out of rhythm from Brad in the third quarter. First and third quarter, I think were just rhythm and frustration. Second quarter, fourth quarter, I felt like it was solid games. It's just tough to get a stop on Craig right now with the way that he's comfortable with his team. But we got the Niners were leading the rushing 153-79. The Lions led the passing 142, 149 to 132. Turnovers, another factor. You either got to be dead even with Craig at turnovers or have none to his one. He's just not going to play risky football. He's not going to do anything to put himself in those situations. Go to the passing stats. We got Cam Newton, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, 2 sacks, which could be an issue later. We'll see that conversation in the Giants-Niners game later. 66%. Tommy Frazier, 149, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, no sacks. 9 for 17, and I definitely remember a couple throwaways here. Christian McCaffrey, 11 for 93, one touchdown, averaging 8.5. He started off hot, stayed hot. Craig used him when he needed in the passing and the rushing game. Then you had Gibbs, 8 for 79, one touchdown. I think Gibbs should have saw 16 carries here. Um, Considering that Brad was never really ever down by more than one touchdown, if I recall, or a 1 point or one possession game, maybe 10 at the most. Uh, I got you, Craig. 10 at the most. But I think overall, Gibbs should have got more carries here. I really do. I just think Craig really didn't have an answer for it, averaging 9.9 a carry. And I just think when you have that type of offense and the way that Craig's defense is, it just, you don't have all the stars there to compete. You got Laporta to match up, maybe Fred, and Amron maybe to match up over, but it's just a lot. They got a lot of overwhelming pieces over there, and the way that Craig's going to play his defense, he's not going to put himself in a lot of situations for him to beat himself. So I think when you look at just running the ball, it takes a lot of pressure off of your play calling on beating Craig versus just run the ball and put the ball in your best player's hands. And like Gibbs and Amron is his best players over there. So I think that's just where it went. And where I say best player's hands, you can see where I'm going with this. Craig is going to make sure he's putting the ball in his best player's hands. And undisputably, his best player is Christian McCaffrey. So 6 catches for 63 yards and 1 touchdown here. Laporta, 3 for 50. Gibbs, 2 for 40. Kittles, 2 for 40. Amron, 2 for 24. This shows me that this was just a keen in, because I know Amron gets about 7 attempts damn near a game. So for him to only come out of here with 2 catches just tells me that Craig was definitely locked in on Amron. And, Brad was saying he got to work on Laporta, but now Laporta being his leading receiver, I think is a pure testament to Amron just not being open on the first and maybe second look, depending on the matchups.
Yeah, it was Amron and JMO. He likes to get into that bunch, and he likes to throw posters on the receivers. So and then he does a backdoor dig, a reverse zig to JMO. So I really was focusing on the receivers and JMO. So it was set up for Laporte to have a big day
A
for real.
big, and that's why I just say like,
Yeah,
and when you got the pieces like this, Brad, for real, like, and it's a couple other teams that's got 3 corner pieces like that, running back, tight end, and a receiver. I just feel like there's got to be your rotation of the 3 really will dictate how people play you. And you've said you struggled getting Laporta involved, so next year I just think once you put it all together again, this could easily be
yeah,
another
yeah.
matchup we see next year, just because like the way that the Lions are built and the way that the Niners are built, give them a good user, they're gonna show up.
Right. And once he gets to another level of just going to, like kind of what you said, when you run a play that I've already seen before, start going somewhere different. You know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah, it's
start
nothing wrong to
or
run that
sprinkling
same
something
play,
different.
but just know that
Yeah,
yeah, you just
because
have to
he'll come in.
expect.
Right, because like if he noticed every time he went into that split play where JMO to the right and JMO motioned all the way to the
All
left
the
and
way
does a wheel
around. Yeah,
route, I manned him up every play. So
and
now
I've
I know as soon as he goes into the formation, bro, I manned him up with the opposite linebacker because I knew he was going to end up on that side. He never
and,
doesn't run it that
and
way.
it's something as simple as that, where like I seen that a couple games ago from Brad, and I don't watch Brad's every game. I seen it a couple games ago though, and I knew just as well as you knew that like, oh shit, like if that nigga JMO goes in any type of motion for real, like it might be yard. Like you gotta make sure. So like it's just something simple like that. Knowing that now that's only adjustment. You ain't run with it. So now you still gotta go next level. Like you still gotta get your user out the way. You still gotta like just making the adjustment of that man though in the linebacker position. Now there's a hole there. Now if you go next level and you see that, you call it again or you call it later, you throw a little something there, and that now the game within the game is really being played. And I just think he ran into somebody that can play the game within the game. I feel like if Brad runs into honestly, if you would have ran into the Falcons, I think Brad would be seeing you in the NFC Championship. Just my personal
Right.
feelings of it. Even if maybe even the fucking Lions, honestly. I mean Lions, the Giants, honestly. Like I just think he ran into a nigga that it was just going to be a tough outing, and he just played him week 17.
I think that's the
Um,
biggest take is that we
yeah, like
just played each
played
other.
week
You know what I'm
17, and
saying?
it wasn't
That
like
was
he
the
played
biggest
you
take.
bullshit. He played you with the intent to win. So he
Right.
gave you the same script or the same start of the script that he was going to give you in a playoff game. And
Right.
like I just think that's just where it took its little crash and burn. Um,
Right. Because
but
what you gotta understand is the top niggas ain't top niggas just because of a team or a player or whatever. We really break down this shit, bro. We really break down. I'm really realizing all your tendencies, knowing who you're going through, bro. And most times, if you run a play the first quarter, you can't run it the third quarter. You can't run it again. You know what I'm saying? Like at least not the same way. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, especially if it was a play that had you wide the fuck open. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's why I don't even pick a play till I see your formation because I realize what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? When you go back to that formation, the problem is some people got two, three plays out of your formation. So
and
I
that's
know
just
you're
where
either
yeah.
running. Yeah, I know you're only running out of them two or three plays. It's you know what I mean you're only running them two or three plays. So like once he gets to a deeper bag, Brad's gonna be a dog because the regular plays he run is already good. So Brad's a problem. He just gotta just
And
get to the next level.
I only spend this much time on Brad and the Lions because I'm looking at everyone who's here in the top 8, and I've seen them here before, minus Brad.
Right.
So it's like, okay, when I take away from like the league and where niggas is going and some niggas is not going, um, I think it's a matchup thing, but I think it's also just you don't know until you like until you get there you do that. So I think now that he's got to where that game was in the playoffs and got to see you twice in a manner where a lot of people only see you once in the season, or if not have to just see you in the playoffs. I just think it builds more familiarity and more recognition that not a lot of other people are necessarily going to have. Like he can take this bit of advice and maybe go into the next game with it and realize that the next user ain't doing the shit that you doing, or the next user ain't doing the shit that the
Right.
Giants is going to do. But that's when, and a lot of niggas don't get it. I don't use the regular season as a joke, but the regular season is to prepare for the niggas that I know I'm going to see later. Not,
Facts.
yeah, not to sit there and like dilly dally with y'all niggas in the regular season. I prepare my regular seasons to go into the playoffs. And I think when Brad prepares this next season to go in the playoffs, it won't be an ordinance of like first, second read shut down. It's gonna be if I got the time with that Lions line, first, second read, oh third I know should be open no matter what now. And now
Yo,
he's
he
just throwing
had
that
big
bitch.
time, bro. That's what you got. There was some
That's what I'm
plays
saying.
where,
Like, and that's what I'm saying
oh
is
my
like I'm looking
god.
at his team and I watched the game and he really had chances to be in the game to keep you to a 1 point game. I mean, one touchdown game or
Right,
even a 3 point game towards
right,
the end. But it's just you don't know, and figuring it out as you're playing that game is tough, bro. Like sometimes you got to rewatch the game afterwards and you sit there and you be like, oh shit, like bro, I had this open, I had this open, I hesitated on this read, throw the fucking ball here. You know what I'm saying? Like you figure that shit out as you go. So I think I shout out definitely the 8 teams, but I definitely shout out the Lions just because I think their season was actually very good. I think they had a very good season, and coming from the Cards where you don't really know if it's like okay it's a user or is it him or whatever the case. This is his year 1 with the Lions, so I take a lot of acknowledgement to the user, like just the straight up user himself. Um, But as we go into the NFC and AFC championship, I'm going to wrap quick on just thoughts into the Steelers Dolphins game. Um, I do need to check just one thing. I just want to go see if I don't remember if they played during the reg season. I don't remember if they played during the regular season. Steelers.
no, we don't play the Dolphins in real life.
Y'all didn't play the Dolphins this year, and
I don't
that's why.
think in real life we did. No,
No, y'all ain't playing. Y'all ain't playing. Okay,
no.
so first time matchup. Um, Familiar coaches, familiar as leagues and discs, familiar in real live teams and associations that they know about themselves, familiar in watching games and just seeing each other's games. They've been on big stages before. Two users that have been to the bowl, two users that do not have a bowl though. They've both been, but they do not have a bowl. As far as Ray, right? Did he? I know last disc he win a
No,
couple times. He ain't win though.
no.
So two users that have been to the bowl more than once and have came up empty-handed more than once. I think it's a different type of like it's got to be a different type of like want here. Um, Squeeze comes off of his get back game against one of the people that stopped him from getting the bowl. I don't know if Ray's ever been stopped by Squeeze on getting a bowl, but Ray's sitting here one game away from from being in the dance of the dance of the dance, where he's coming from a season where top five was questioned a lot for him. Top five this, division winner that. So I mean, we're here now at the end of the alls and be alls, damn near, and I think this is probably going to be a really, really good game, actually. I say that because the Steelers are going to play quick offensive drives. He's playing with the intent to be mistake free, and when I say that, he's playing with no chip on his shoulder. He's not hindering himself or thinking into the game too much. He came out versus the Texans and he came out straight shooting. I think he's going to follow the same recipe here, but I will say that I think the Dolphins' defense of roster is better than the Texans roster. I don't think you can come out here and just ballpark with the Dolphins defense. Not with Judon being added, not with Kyle Hamilton being added, not with Ramsey still being who he is. I don't think it can be a straight up just I don't give a fuck with the Dolphins. I think there's got to be a little bit more, and you will see a little bit more sense of a balance. Whether it's Mozart, whether it's Najee, whether it's Fields or the other running back he had, six. I don't fucking know who the fuck that was. Um, I think he's gonna have to like mix it in and catch Ray slipping kind of the same way Ray has to catch people slipping. And it's not going to look the same. Like Squeeze isn't going to come out in I form and then Ray's going to go man to man defense and then Squeeze is going to bomb him. I think it's more like Squeeze comes out and five wide, maybe motions, runs the ball, hurries up, stays in five wide. Now he calls a real five wide play, comes back to the huddle, maybe calls a bunch bomb or goes for bomb, dials it back, comes out and bunch again, maybe runs the ball. Like I think he's just got to play mind games with Ray to the point where Ray doesn't know. He's got to play him straight up. We know Ray is leaning towards whatever coverage he's leaning towards, but I think straight up meaning like no pass commits, no run commits, no adjustments. Squeeze is a guy where I feel like you could pass commit and probably quarterback contain all game, and most people would feel like they're safe. But if you're playing a balanced offense, you pass commit and shit, and I'm running the ball. Now Squeeze has got you on his toes, and he's not putting too much pressure on Fields. Because I think that's still the name of the game for the Steelers is you cannot put too much pressure on Fields because he's not traded. Like you are banking with every rollout throw, with every bomb that you don't get an inaccurate, a red, a yellow, moving penalty or shit like that. So I think he's got to play a clean ass game, and playing clean against the Dolphins to me looks like balance because I've seen the Dolphins get turnovers, fumbles, and picks, quarterback strips. Like I've seen them get all the type of turnovers you can get. And it's not like Ray's putting on a mastermind defense, like with the most respect. But we simply know the 2 or 3, 4 coverages that Ray's going to run, and he's effective with it. So clearly it fucking works. Will you have any side or any thoughts on the Steelers' approach to the Dolphins? I'm going to get to the Dolphins' approach to the Steelers, but I feel like the Steelers' approach to the Dolphins has got to be play clean with Fields, play balanced, but still yourself, but it has to be a point of balance. And then on defense, I would say the whole motto is actually can't get beat deep. If Ray puts on 3 back-to-back drives, 8 play, 9 play, 7 play, 6 play, whatever drives, touchdown, 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 I think Squeeze has got to live with that because Ray's been working on his game. What you cannot do is be in a situation where like you're the Chiefs and it's a 1 possession game, either side plus or minus, and then you get fucking bombed because now the game is no longer sitting in that soft cushion realm. Like I don't think you want to play soft cushion realm all the way with the Dolphins because he can run for a touchdown and he can pass for a touchdown with his receiver Tyreek, and he can run for a touchdown with either one of those running backs, right or the other nigga. So I think he's got to make Ray move the ball strategically up and down the field for him to get those points. And if he comes out with 3 full-on drives, I think Squeeze has got to be happy about that shit. Like, you got to take it that way. As long as it's not 1 play, 2 play, 3 play tutties.
Right. I mean, this is gonna be a good game in my opinion, man. They're both familiar users. Maybe they didn't play each other in this game, but it's familiar users. I think Ray still has to he has to still try to um play his game. You've been working on your passing game all year. Da, da, da. Now, right now, you play what makes you comfortable, man. You run the ball, do what you gotta do. If you gotta go to a deeper bag, you go to a deeper bag. Ray just has to be smart, and he's going to take his chances like he always does. And to me, the most important part for Ray is his defense. I just think that Squeeze makes shit happen, bro. So you can't let him sit back there and just run in circles and create more time with the pass. I know
I
it's
think
dangerous sending it to him, but
I think there was
I
something to take
just
away from the Texans game. The first half, you saw what happened when Fields had time.
right, yeah, he's
You
a
saw
fucking
you
problem,
you
bro.
saw what happened when he had time. When we were
Right,
3 or 4 straight up, no blitzes, and he was doing what I told him he was going to have to do, which is I put on quarterback contain. Fields was sitting in the pocket, and he threw the 2 bombs that he had to throw to make sure that he could push on that drive. You didn't start seeing Fields struggle until I started blitzing and making him get out the pocket and run into a little quarterback contain, or blitzing, and then he would try to stay in the pocket, and we would just get there. And I think that's just you got to find that fine balance with Ray, where you're blitzing, but not too much, and you got to blitz strategically. Because if you blitz and he
right.
beats around it with Fields, because Fields ain't slow, if he beats around it, now you've got him doing the mobility shit, the improviser shit. He's on the left side of the field. The receivers are moving around. Moss might be going yard. Bub might be coming back. And now you're playing like a no man's land game. And that's not how I think the Steelers get. I don't think that's how you stop the Steelers if I'm Ray. Um,
Yeah, no, you have to keep it contained. You have to keep the big plays from happening. Make the Steelers drive all the way down the field, man. Don't let him kill you with 2, 3 play touchdowns, man. You can't do that. You got to make the Steelers drive all the way down the field.
and
You
this is
got to
why I
make him
say
utilize his running back.
that's why
You
I say
have
their
to.
game is the most interesting because both of them, that's both of their keys to me. It's one's way more run heavy or can be. Like we know Ray can put 21 carries on the ground, easy as pie. Can the Steelers get to that 15 to 20 range if needed and it be effective? Because if Ray's sitting back there and he's not being able to throw bombs on Ramsey, like if Ramsey's on Moss and that's a matchup all game long, can you dink and dunk when needed? Can Pat Fryermuth get 6 for 36? You know what I'm saying? I mean, 6 for 50 yards. Like, can it be a dink and dunk, move the ball methodical for all 4 quarters? And I think it's got to be for
I,
all 4 quarters.
I will say it's gonna be dangerous because one thing about Ray, he probably runs man probably 2% of the game. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
it's gonna be a situation where Justin Fields is thrown into zones. You have to be careful with he runs three a lot. You got to be careful something he does with that three. The seam is not open all the time. It seems like it's open, but it closes fast. And I don't think Justin Fields, especially with a trait, is somebody who can gunsling that through some of these seams. So I just think that Squeeze just going to have to play smart and realize he's not a person. He's not dealing. He's dealing with a smart zone. So he's not dealing with somebody where Randy Moss is going to run 1-on-1 with somebody. Randy Moss is not going to be 1-on-1 most times. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have to beat his zone and get open behind him. So, I
I
mean,
think the
Squeeze, man,
hot
he's a
start,
good.
yeah,
Yeah,
the hot
yeah.
start that the Steelers had against the Texans allowed Squeeze to keep confidence, keep momentum going. Fact.
All right,
If he
right.
doesn't get such a hot start against the Dolphins, when it when it gets to that back and forth, I think is really where niggas nuts grow. And it's a matter of who can go back and forth. Because I really do feel like there's going to be a point in the game, second, third quarter, they're going to go back and forth. Whether it's back and forth touchdowns, excuse me, back and forth field goals, or back and forth three and outs. And it's a matter of like, all right, who's gonna like pop the top for real? And I really think whoever pops the top first and can respond like not just once, but respond in that back to back. So you pop the top, you get a touchdown, get a bomb maybe, and then you need to come back and get that stop. For Ray, maybe he gets a bomb with Tyreek. That next drive, it needs to be a stop. And that's where the game, I think, gets the difference at. I think that's where you get the plus or minus, or like, hey, I got that extra drive over him. I need to go score now and make this a 9 point game, a 10 point game, whatever the fuck the case be. So I think it's going to come down to that. Whoever's got that back-to-back stop or that back-to-back touchdown and stop, second and third quarter somewhere in there. And I think it's just going to matter if just going to write the rest of the game. Unless one of these niggas come out turnovers, for real, I don't really see it not being a close game unless somebody comes out with turnovers. Um,
Yeah,
I-
it's gonna be a good game, man. It's gonna be. I expect it to be a good game.
yeah, I expect it to be good. Moss with Ramsey, Kyle Hamilton, Bub with Kador, Jordan Poyer's in the mix in the safety box helping out. Two veteran safeties or two high overall, high awareness safeties. Um, you got a little bit of a lax linebacker game with Ray, but then you got a great front four. Steelers, great front seven. Corners are touch and go, same with the safeties, but he's got some guys that can make plays. Do they have the speed to stick with Tyreek? No. And Schwartz? No. But it's a matter of now, I think that's just squeezing his game planning. Can he game plan them to be in the right situations? Or can he create the pressure so those aren't easy throws for Ray to make? I think it's two sides of it. You either got to be able to be back deep, nothing behind you, or you need to be able to create pressure and make Ray not be able to have such easy throws to Tyreek and to Schwartz and to the running back and to Jonnu. Like he's got a fast unit over there. Everybody's fast as shit. So if you can't, those are always easy or open or leading throws for him. Like he can lead them to be open. Niggas is fast. If Squeeze can make that quarterback rattle a little bit, I think that's just where the game goes. I look at the quarterbacks themselves. Ray's got his quarterback up to the 97 superstar. And we got Squeeze over here with Fields at a 88 star. But Fields has been playing out of his mind. So I think it leans a lot on, like I said, these running backs for them. And then who's that six nigga? Oh, Keaton Mitchell. Yeah, Keaton Mitchell could be big. I think Keaton Mitchell was good for him last game, honestly, more than what he realized. But he's got some fast running backs over here too. I think it comes down to Pickens and Bubs on his offense. Fields, Pickens, and Bubs. The running game is so-so. Just depends if he sticks with it. The way Squeeze looks like sometimes he'll go five wide and he's just content with taking checkdowns as like forms of run game. So can Pickens and Bub Mean step up versus Ramsey, Fuller, and Kader Cahoe at 5'10"? Safeties is oh shit, Colin. Yeah, safeties is Colin Poyer, not the fastest, but high awareness guys. So like it's really gonna be a good match. There's good matchups here, really, for real. Just based off of the players. Like I'm not even talking the scheme. These two teams are matched up well versus each other, actually. And
I
then
fuck with it.
yeah, I think this is a real good one. Like this is my game of the week. It's like it's gonna be a dog ass game. This game, the NFC, we have the number one Niners versus the number two Giants. Now y'all didn't play during the regular season.
Mm-mm.
I'm trying to remember. My Giants don't play the Niners year one. Um, hmm. Okay, so I'll go from the Giants angle first, just because we got you on here. The Giants angle I take is that all right? If I'm the Giants, last game we scored 21 points. The game before that, 24 points. The defense scored more than the offense.
But last two games that happened to him.
The
Falcons,
Falcons game
Falcons
too.
too. Yeah, he scored more. He scored 14 points on defense both games.
See, I think this is the conversation for Nas and these Giants. I love that the defense scores because I know that Nas is capable of scoring, but it's just the fact that it's not happening. So you will look at this last game, 21, the game before that, 24, and I think the last game of the regular season when the defense scored more than the offense too, it was another like 21 or 24 points. The Niners have been averaging like the most points in the league. They have the most touchdowns across the board. They have the most points in the league. They have the most yards in the league. They probably have the most efficient and proficient offense in the league currently right now. If I'm Nas, I'm telling my defense, my offense, the team, we need at least 21 offensive points to win this game. That's all you have to be able to tell yourself. And solely believe it, honestly. Like, you have to believe that you can be 21 points, potential 7, because your defense has shown at this point they can give you a potential 7. 21 to 28 points has to be the game for the Giants. The Niners cannot score more than 21 to 28 points if I am the Giants. Like, and we have to score 14 to 21 points on offense. In like no arguments had about it. Like, just because that's the way that their season has been, that's the way that their defense has played. If that anything goes outside of that script, you're asking Nas to go out there and do something that has not been needed of him at this point, which is to go out there and to get into a shootout. It has not been needed, it has not been warranted, and it has not happened really for Nas at this point in the season for real. So if I'm Nas, you got to be able to run the ball, got to be able to 21 to 28 points. Can't get beat with nothing cheap. In a way, you're content with Craig putting on drives, but you know that you're more of like playing of like a bend and don't break, and there needs to be a stop at some point throughout the drive. Like, he's gonna put on a drive. He's not gonna bomb you unless it's butt naked, and he's not gonna sit there to look to come and bomb you consistently unless you just are giving it to him, for real. Craig is going to try to put on a drive by any means necessary. If it's Christian McCaffrey every down, it's Christian McCaffrey every down. If it's Jennings every other down, it's Jennings every other down. Whatever the means is, he's going to find the way. For Nas, you take that with solace, and you're saying, okay, he's playing by any means, and there needs to be at some point, you're saying, like, by any means, there needs to be a stop. Like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, that has to be a stop 50% of the time at least. Like, you cannot be 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, 4th and 3, 4th and 4. Like those got to be stops. They got to be stops. All like that genre, 3rd and medium, has to be. Because on offense, if you get to that same point and you give the ball back, it's got to be the same issue. Or you go offense and you're 3rd and 6 and you run the ball twice, which is comfortable for Nas. You got to be able to be comfortable on your end, knowing that you're getting stops or that you got stops. Hey man, if the Saints was paying me, I'd go be a coach for any NFL team. Shit me. But it's just got to be that way. Neighbors, Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor, this is a big game for him just because the Niners defense all the way around has stars on it. So I think Terrell's just got to have full control of the offense. He's got to be able to know when to call runs, know when to call throws, check down. Can't be too scary though. Like, that's the one thing I know from playing Craig. If you're too scary and you don't make him back the fuck up, the defense is going to start to cave in and feel overwhelming. So there's got to be points at this game where Nas gets Craig to back the fuck up. Dead ass. Biggest way, easiest way to check the defense, to give him a little reality check on his end. You got to be able to check that man's, like, you got to be able to beat that nigga deep. Other than that, he ain't going to feel threatened. Running the ball all game, Craig is going to bank on, eventually, he's going to get a stop by any means necessary. So eventually, that shit's got to kick open. It's got to be some type of, like, not afraid to shoot your gun at that nigga Craig. Because a lot of people shoot themselves in the foot by being too conservative versus a defense. Ain't no defense perfect. You just got to find your way. Now, on the flip end, Craig's cool with, I feel like, and you could speak against, but if Nas gives you 30 carries, in your head, you're just telling your defense, we just need to stop the one side of the fair. It's not that Nas can't pass. You've seen Nas pass. We know that Nas can pass. But the way that he's been playing with this team and the way that this team's identity is, if you stop the run, I mean, he doesn't put up more than 14 points offensively.
Yeah, I mean, without giving up too much, he's Nas. Yeah, yeah. He gonna have to. His run is. I think if he isn't successful in the run, it's gonna be hard for him to beat.
I think anybody would go and say that's the regular game plan. If you're going into New York, if you're playing the Giants, you have to stop the run. If you stop the
Right.
run, it has been proven in previous games, it is a closer ball game, which leaves it to be in your hands. And any top user is willing to accept that. I want the ball in my hand. Like I want it to be in my hands. Like I can't let this nigga come out and just
Right.
run the fucking ball.
Cause sometimes the run can lead to uncomfortable 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 7s, where you got to
Hmm.
make a decision after that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, do you really want to be in that position? You know what I'm saying? But you got to stick to what you know. You got to run the buck. You know what I'm saying? So
That's how I feel about
yeah,
like second and long. Like you said, third and medium. I feel like second and long for Nas previously may have still could have been of like a rundown. I feel like second and long versus you, it needs to be a passing down. Majority more often than not, I say that because second and long and you put yourself into a possible third and long, now you're telling me third and long you're going to pass the ball. And again, we're talking about matchups, we're talking about plays here, we're talking about adjustments that get made continuously. Third and long is not any football team's game plan. You know what I'm saying? Running or not, you want third and 4, third and 6. And sometimes running on second and 10, you end up with that third and 8, or you got some hit sticks, and next thing you know, motherfucker, that's third and 2. I mean, third and 9. You got 2 yards or some shit like that. Dumb shit. So you know what I'm saying? Like you really got to be on top of the sticks, I think, with you if I'm Nas, because he's shown and it's been shown that there's some offensive struggles. Um, on your flip, you're comfortable with the run, um, comfortable with him attempting the pass. Offensively, I feel like you got to worry about his front four. Like the biggest thing I think for anybody that's on the Giants side or is picking the Giants to win this matchup is, can the Niners stop Dexter Lawrence, um, Thibodeau, Burns, Aziz, and whoever else the fuck he might have over there, and kind of halt some of that Christian McCaffrey and the Cam Newton magic that's been happening. Um, Seen you make adjustments to your offensive line for different matchups as far as knowing what type of D lines you're going against, what type of coaches you're going against. I think if Nas's defense can rattle some of that Cam Newton aura and keep Christian McCaffrey to a regular game, I think it's not a matter of you stopping him. I don't really feel like that's going to happen. He's just too good of a player to be all the way stopped. But I feel like if you keep Christian McCaffrey to a regular game and make you get into a bag of, I won't even say throwing because you've been doing it, but throwing excessively, like throwing when you're not finding run. Maybe your run starts to get shut. Maybe you get into third and longs and you have to throw now. I think that's got to play in Nas's favor. You just put more things into risk when you're throwing the ball, as far as throw out of sacks, um, abilities flowing and glowing and lighting up, fucking, misreads because your quarterback's gunslinger, or he's throwing the ball too quick out the read, or you get it inaccurate because Dexter Lawrence is in your face. Like, there's so many different elements that can happen when you're throwing the ball. It's not the same security when you're running the ball. So I just feel like for Nas, that's got to be the game plan, is to get you into that. But it's got to be your game plan to not fall susceptible to that D line and put yourself in more situations than you're already going to have to, because they're there every play, like run or pass. They're going to be there every play. But I think this is going to be more of a defensive matchup. I think this is going to be more of a low scoring game over here. I got I think I called 27-24 before. I also could see like 24-21. I think the Steelers and the Dolphins is more um, 38, 31, 38-28. Um, Maybe even like a 42-28. Um, just depending on how hot I think the Steelers come out. Um, but out of these two, I definitely think these two games, I like the Steelers Dolphins for the game of the week, as far as if I had to like pick one. I'm gonna let I know Rob wants to go over the MVPs and the stats. Um, I just wanted to dive into the games that was played. Um, I think we'll probably do. I don't know if we'll do it all or if it'll be Rob and Craig that'll come back for the post championship, pre Super Bowl. And we might do it like Pro Bowl week maybe. So post championship, pre Super Bowl, MVP talks, the stat finishes that finished out. We can do like all of that. I know Rob and Craig said it was doing the MVPs and the stats later. So might be able to do all of that together with the Pro Bowl too. Go through that, give some guys some love on the next show. Um, Appreciate everybody that tuned in, and we'll tune in shortly for either one of these games. I don't know what time was set on them. If anybody knows, let me know.
Yo,
But
I was on the phone with my girl. Well, I just want to say one thing. A big take on on my game. I couldn't really say what I wanted to say, but I think our game is based off of who can play uncomfortable because I kind of know Nas's thing, and I'm pretty sure Nas has watched me enough to know kind of my tendencies. So who can make the necessary adjustments and play in the uncomfortable zone? Because I'm not gonna let you do too many things that you're comfortable with doing, and he's not gonna do the same.
I don't think the rest of it's gonna be tonight. Good. I think the bowl is already locked for tomorrow. That's why I said we probably do a show tonight after the championship games is played. We'll do a show talking about the championship, ending season
Is
of the
my room?
stats,
Who
ending
was
season
playing?
of the awards and the MVP and shit.
Oh shit.
We'll probably talk about the Pro Bowl, and then we'll talk early Super Bowls, and we probably won't have the off-season schedule laid out until around the Super Bowl, honestly, until we get a time for that. But we'll probably work on that later too. It's playoffs though, so y'all niggas are not getting a gift from me.
Me and Nas playing in 5 minutes. So
And you just heard first.
uh,
And no, yeah, my fault. Yeah, the post conference championship. My fault. I did say chip, post chip, not post conference championship games. Um, but y'all heard it here first. Niners and the Giants. Tune in 5 minutes, and it's on Nas' stream. Appreciate y'all.